Hi, everyone. This is Neil Douglas, and this is American Truth Finders. I'd like to welcome you to the show, and I hope that you will share and tell your friends to watch the show because tonight we're going to cover a poll that I did really about what do you prefer for America, capitalism or socialism? And with that, I've got the numbers, and you'll have to forgive me if I keep pushing my glasses up, but I'm wearing a plastic frame so I can maybe hopefully see a little bit better. Anyway, uh, for those of you that might, most of you I know do know the difference between capitalism and socialism. You also know that if you've watched my shows in the in the past, I do my show a lot like I did when I did my radio show, which is I have some notes in front of me. I want to welcome Evelyn. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that we get some more people to join us. And I hope that those people that are watching will share and make your comments because this is going to be kind of fun in a way because there's a lot of different um, variations of what people want for this country, and I found it very interesting. Anyway, for those of you that might be wondering, the basic difference between capitalism and socialism is the extent of government intervention in the economy. Okay, now this is uh, pretty simple. I mean, it's not anything that's hard to understand. Capitalist economic system is characterized by private ownership and assets of business, and a capitalist economy relies on free market to determine price, incomes, wealth, distribution of goods, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A socialist economic system is characterized by greater government intervention to allocate resources in a more uh, actually it's more of a controlled factor. It's more of a controlled factor in uh, so that the difference really, I mean, I can read to you and list to you because I couldn't memorize all of this. Capitalism does allow assets by private uh, entities, whereas socialism assets are owned by government or operatives. Now, um, we should discuss that a little bit because where is the equality in this? All right. Well, with capitalism, income is determined by the market for forces, and with socialism, it's actually retribution of income. In other words, they want to take income that people make from businesses, capitalism, and they want to spread it out. Now, I'm going to explain that in a simple way. If you have a home, that home should basically be somebody else's home if they don't have a home, or at least you should share your home or your money. The same thing. Um, share your money, share your wealth. This is a situation that this country is headed that direction. And For those of you that are watching, do me a favor and share this video with your friends. Let them know this is an important thing, because what's happening to America today, uh, what you're seeing on the streets, what you're seeing on the TV when you watch your favorite news channel, uh, that I call a commentary channel. But anyway, that's beside the point. Seattle has tried it in a sense, and it's not working. Um, I can tell already people are going to come and go because they are not, they don't give a damn about whether we are a socialist or a communist or a capitalist country. And that's your right, except for the fact it's taking the right away from what America really stands for. Are you right or wrong because of the way you believe? You have that right. That's what America is. It's a country with freedoms, and it's a country that allows you to have that freedom of speech, the freedom of protest, the freedom of having a business, the freedom of speaking your mind. We don't have the freedom of taking from somebody and keeping it for ourselves without some kind of compensation. Now, for those of you that might be watching this even later, I want you to understand something. We've got people in our government right now that want a democratic socialist country. And that's just basically what I call the squad and what is known as the squad. That the reason there's so much problem in the country is because there's no work, and if that's the reason killing's going on, and that is because they need food and so on and so forth. That's garbage. That's garbage. They're just trying to sell you a bill of goods. Now, I'm gonna read off some of the what I wanna say, the poll numbers. And again, forgive me for looking down, but this is the easiest for me because I can't put it in front of the screen. Freedomism had 2 votes. Now, freedomism, it depends on, you can kind of call that the same as capitalism, except that they won it without maybe any taxes or any form of control by the government of market value, etc. So they got 2 votes. Capitalism got 15 votes out of this poll. The socialism, this is interesting because socialism got 1.5. And I say 1.5 because the other half came from, they wanted, part of it was freedomism. But they didn't call it freedomism, they called it freedom. And the other half was socialism. Libertarian was 1.5. The other half, I'd have to go back and look and see exactly what that other half was. It might have been libertarian, it might have been socialism, might have been freedom, and I apologize for that. Also, the last one, believe it or not, there was one vote, and if you'll go on my page, my timeline page on Facebook, you will find that if you scroll down far enough, you'll see where the comments are and what they are. So you'll know that what I'm telling you is, you can tally up the votes yourself if you want to make sure that I did it right. But I had one that wants anarchy. Now, For those of you that are watching, listen to me. Anarchy is what happened in Seattle when they took that area of Seattle, kept the police out, kept ambulances out, kept nobody could come in that didn't belong there, and it was controlled by like mob, like a crazed mob. Is this what you want? This I don't understand the person that put this down as anarchy. I'm not going to name names. You can go on the page because I don't even know what the name is. To be honest with you, I don't know who did it. Anyway, anarchy is where you block out any type of law and order, but you still have law and order because you have someone who's controlling you, whether it's a military, whether it's uh, a particular warlord. So I find that this is very interesting, and I wish whoever put that down would be watching and would comment on it. I wish you would comment on this particular piece of information about why you would want anarchy, unless you were just joking, which could be. And there's a lot of people. Now there was one person that did put down they wanted freedomism without the ism. In other words, they just wanted straight freedom. And again, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by just straight freedom. If you're talking about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to the right to protest, the right to, other words, go back to what our country used to be before they took away a lot of our freedoms. Uh, this is something that freedom is something that we have lived on, but but in a sense, a lot of people think that no, the country has not been freedom since the beginning because we have been slaves to the government or slaves to other people or whatever the case might be. Um, Please share this video, and so I can get some comments. Please comment on this because I'm telling you right now, this is our country's headed towards socialism fast, very fast, and that's why I did the poll was to find out what do people want, capitalism or socialism. The winner of that came out to be capitalism for those that are tuning in. The socialism was kind of tied in with a few other things, but basically socialism it was not high on the list. Democratic socialism and socialism, I put them together because basically they're the same thing. Bernie Sanders, example, is a Democrat who claims to be a Democrat socialist, excuse me. Now, if you have anything at all to say about this, please comment. You know, if you have a better way of replacing capitalism, please comment. If you have a better way of replacing the system that our government and our country is right now, comment. Tell me about it. Explain it to me so that we can all understand. Look, there's only been three nations, I should say, that tried socialism and then ended up rejecting it. Those three countries were Israel, India, and the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom. And they had all adopted socialism as an economic model following World War II. And for those of you that can't find my my page, I want you to go to my timeline. If you're watching, you can go to my timeline. Uh, and I'm going to tell you right now, it is live. We are live. And if you go to Facebook, and writing this for somebody because they want to know. All right, sorry about that, folks. I didn't mean to do that, but I'm human. This is a show just like anybody else would do on Facebook. But anyway, socialism. In the case of Israel, India, and the United Kingdom, this happened after World War II, or right after it. And socialism is guilty of fatal conceit because it believes the system can make better decisions for the people than they can for themselves. I've said this for years. I know more about what's best for me than the government does. And I would hope that you feel the same way. Socialism has failed in every country for which it has even been tried. Now, some people say that Canada is socialism. It may have a portion of socialism, but it's not totally socialist. So you can forget that one. I'm not going to read to you. I have. I'm not going to read to you the. What countries that have gone away from socialism and went into a Marxist and Leninist type of states, governments, whatever you want to call them, okay? And the whole thing is very. Hi, Anna. I'm glad you made it. Thank you. You meant that the wealth of the people should be in the hands of a few. Okay. That. So what you're saying, what you're really saying is, or correct me, please, Anna. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you say it should be in the hands of a few, are you referring to the fact that corporations have stockholders and stockholders should not be making any of the money and making the decisions? Or is it the fact that you have people that own these corporations and they are making the money where nobody else is? I'm not quite sure about the wealth of the people, and it should not be in the hands of the few. Okay, I know what you mean. You want it more evenly distributed or have more people to have a chance to earn money and make money. Is that correct? And there's Daisha. Hi, Daisha. Thank you for joining us. Anna, if you would just explain that, because I want people to see exactly what you mean. Your point is very well taken. I hear this a lot, that people do not want money to be in the hands of a few. In other words, the elite, so much of the elite do run the country. And we should not be. Oh, Anna says we should not even, or we should not have the kind of wealth disparity. There's a lot of poverty in our country. And I'm going to say that in all honesty. And I'm thinking that maybe Anna, that's what you're talking about. I don't want to put words in your mouth. We do have billionaires, several billionaires in our country and all over the world, really. You can go to Russia and you'll find billionaires. You go to China, you'll find billionaires. The average people in these countries do not have this, and including America, the average American is middle class, or there really is not a middle class in my opinion anymore. There used to be what we call three classes: the lower income, the middle, and the elite. And right now, I think we're mostly closer to the lower and the elite. But does that mean we should go to socialism? Because everything evens out because um, uh, socialists do have, it's strictly government is in control. Anna says the 1% have most of the wealth, and you're right. I cannot argue that. Not when you have a country of 350 million people, and only 1% are the wealth of this country. And in fact, and I agree, and I'm going to make a statement that some of you may understand, some may not, some may care, maybe some may not. The point is, we have these corporations and these wealthy people have such a way of getting out of paying taxes that that the rest of us make up that difference. And uh, Anna, you've made a good point there. I'm going to come, since people can see your comments anyway, Anna. Give me just a idea. Do you favor socialism, or do you favor capitalism, or do you want more freedomism? Um, if you don't mind explaining that. Um, no needs, no needs billions to live when majority are struggling. So what you're wanting, okay, that kind of goes towards socialism, where you want them to spread out the money to other people who don't have money. Is that correct? Um, it's a mix. Okay, all right. Kind of like both socialism and capitalism. I like Anna's her comments because she's brave. She's coming right out and saying it like she feels, and I love that. Uh, and it's okay, all right. She says, "Yep, that's it." Um, something that's important because it shows that you've either experienced the both sides, or not necessarily both sides, but you've watched both sides, and maybe you are in one of these situations, Anna, where um, uh, you have not, you've had maybe lived in some poverty at some time in your life. I hope not, but if you have, I can certainly sympathize with that. No one needs billions to live. And I agree with that. And we could go with Bill Gates. We could go with Mark Zuckerberg. We could go with and Mark Zuckerberg. If you're going to get angry, or your police patrol is going to get angry and take me off because I said that, that's your right to do so. This is your corporation, not mine. Um, and there should be no billionaires if most people are struggling. When you say that, I can agree, except for one thing, Anna, that I'm going to say, and maybe you can disagree with me. That's what this is all about. We can agree to disagree. Um, and I want to thank those, by the way, before I go any further, for watching. And please share this so your friends can watch and join in on the conversation as well. But here's the thing. Uh, if somebody starts off, exactly, I'll give you an example. Sam Walton. He started off with one store, and he built that store into a multi-billion-dollar business. And of course, the family is now all billionaires. And I'm saying, there's hi Beatrice, how are you? Glad that you could join us. But Anna, would you condemn the Waltons for earning money from starting from nothing, or possibly even whoever started Costco. Janet Blazin, how are you? I'm glad you could join us. We're talking about socialism and communism. Um, Anna says there should be wealth limits to control some of the unfair wealth disparity. Okay, that I'm not quite sure. In other words, that means you want government to control. In my mind, correct me if I'm wrong, Anna, because this is not, we're not arguing. We're discussing this. Janet, throw in your comments if you have any, because right now we're at a point where the capitalism came out ahead on the poll that I did, way far ahead. People want capitalism for our country versus socialism, freedomism, or whatever. And you said they should start paying their employees better. Okay. I cannot and will not argue that point. And that people definitely, you can't live on $7.50 or $7.25 or $8.50 an hour. And even people who are retired are working because they need a second job. Now, but here's the problem, and Anna, you just kind of said it. If they're making so much money, you got to remember it's not everybody in the corporation is making that kind of money. It's usually your CEOs, and it's usually the CEOs that takes down a company. I can give you a good example. Is J.C. Penney, when they got rid of their particular CEO that was doing well for J.C. Penney, and they hired I think he was a part of Apple or whatever corporation. That's beside the point. He tried to bring the company to a point of more millennial people, where they would get more technical, where people would, younger people. They didn't want their regulars. They didn't pay their employees any better. And they even ended up doing a buyout for so many employees to get rid of them. And J.C. Penney's in deep trouble. And as far as I'm concerned, they won't be long, and they'll all be out of business. J.C. Penney stores will be gone. And to have people pay more or get paid more, that I will not disagree with that. Not at all. The CEOs of most companies do make far, it's ridiculous. We can look at pharmaceutical companies. We can look at manufacturing companies. We can look at retail companies. We can look at most any kind of company that is big. Amazon, my gosh, look at what's happened to Amazon. They're taking over everything. Between Amazon, between Verizon, between all these different companies and phone companies. Everybody's getting involved in buying out. And now what's happening is the malls are going away. Malls are disappearing. Stores are disappearing. The moms and pops are done, in my opinion. And I hope that you will agree with this, or at least comment on it. You don't have to agree with it, but comment. Daisha, okay, what about the average Joe working for those stores, of a fast food restaurant or a factory worker? Well, yeah, that's kind of what Anna is saying. They're not making enough money to survive on, and that's their only job. Many of them, that's their only job. I'm no different than the rest of you. I've been into some of these fast food places, or to a factory, or not necessarily factory, but I've talked to factory workers, fast food workers, restaurant workers, even your little convenience stores. How many of these people are working because they can't even get government help like Medicaid? And so this is really a tough decision. People are suffering. We know that. But they're going to suffer more, and I'm going to tell you how I know this. I want you to think about the upcoming election. And I didn't want to get into politics really, but I'm going to. We've got a very important election coming up. And if you may or may not like what I'm going to say, and you're welcome to give me your opinion. Dacia says, "Yep, exactly." Well, that's the truth. You know, even your fast food and your convenience store workers, they're working because they can't even get any help or get on Medicaid, I guess is what it is. They, if they're disabled, they're not supposed to work, or if they're on Medicaid, they're not supposed to work, they're punished, or whatever the case might be. They lose their benefits. That's not right. But then we go back to the fact is, do we let socialism take over? Well, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. If, in fact, at this upcoming election in November, this is what, July, August, September, October, November, 4 months. Not quite really, because it's the 1st of November, right around there, around the 3rd, 4th. Anyway, my point is, you've got a president that's in office now that's trying to survive the virus and the economy for the country. And then you've got Janet. I'm going to get to your point in just 1 second here, so I don't want to lose that. The point I'm getting at is you've got a choice of what we've got now, or you've got a choice of Joe Biden. And I don't want to put Joe Biden down, but I'm going to tell you quite honestly, if he is elected, our country will be run by socialists, because you've got the group, the PAC, whatever you want to call them, AOC and her socialist ideas and all her buddy friends. And now that Biden has accepted Bernie Sanders kind of idea, where in the heck do you think the country's going to end up? Now, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just telling you this is my opinion. You can disagree, and I'll be happy to accept that. Janet Blazin, if you don't earn what you get, you don't appreciate what you get. Money, work, position, trophy, grades in school, etc. There is nothing that isn't political. Wow. If there is, name it. Janet, you just kind of nailed it, didn't you? Anna, do you have a comment on that? Dacia says that she is confused, or she thinks she's confused. I'm not sure what about. But maybe you can explain that, Dacia. Type it in. I'm going to get back to what Janet just said. If you don't earn what you get, you don't appreciate it. So what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Janet, but socialism is controlled by the government. So you're told what you're going to earn. You're told what you can buy. You're told what you can, how you're going to live. It is government. And whereas capitalism is where you're allowed to make what you want. And you do appreciate, like your house. If you live in a house, excuse me, my nose is just, and yes, my hands are clean. I've used the soap and the lotion, or the alcohol stuff. I'm very cautious about that. I had to go to the eye doctor today, by the way. I don't mean to change the subject. I went to the eye doctor today. Believe me, I was very cautious. Anyway, Janet, are you more on the capitalistic side of what you want this country to be? If you are, just tell me. Okay. Anna had said that many people are making money they didn't really work hard for. Well, yeah, I'm talking. We discussed that in a sense, Anna, with your CEOs, because they've always got somebody underneath them. It's just like it's anybody. Um, and okay, Daisha just cleared up herself. Said she was mistaken. She didn't want the government to tell her what she can and cannot do. That's what socialism does. And I'm going to read that again real quick, just if I can find it, my notes here. Yeah, here we go. Socialism is guilty of total conceit, or it believes that the system can make better decisions for the people than they can for themselves. And I've said this before in the past. Bull, because the government does not know what's better for me than I do. Socialism has failed in every country in which it has ever been tried. And though I want somebody to argue with me on that one, because it has not been successful. It has not been successful. It has been a situation where they've tried it and it didn't work. As I said earlier in the show, 3 countries, 3 nations tried socialism and it failed. And they rejected it. And that was India, Israel, the United Kingdom, and that was right after World War II. Now, America is headed that direction. Will we reject it, or will we accept it? Right now, we've got people in Congress that's all they want is socialism for this country. Now, please do me a favor. For those of you that are watching, comment, message your friends, and tell them to watch this, because I'm going to tell you something. This is getting to be a very serious thing. We've got an election coming up this year. I'm not going to tell you who in the heck to vote for. I would never do that. That is your decision. You have the right to make your own decisions. You have the right to do your own research. You have the right to believe what you want to believe. That's why I'm concerned, to be honest with you, between the socialism and the capitalism, of losing capitalism, because of the fact I'm concerned that you are not going to have your rights. You think you've lost rights now, which we have. We've lost many, many freedoms. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to lose a hell of a lot more if and I'm sorry to have to say this. If Biden gets in, it's not going to be Biden. It's going to be the people that are supporting him, like the PAC, AOC, her and her mouth that's run off, that she doesn't know half of what she's talking about, because she thinks that all the crime in New York right now is due to people being hungry. That doesn't cause death. And she's a socialist. Trust me. I'm going to get back, because I've got more. I got more questions. Anna, who says we have to use socialism? That's a good point. I'm not saying that we have to, but I'm telling you it's going to happen if Trump does not, if Trump loses this election. I'm just telling you as it is. He has tried to build, and I'm not promoting Trump. I'm telling you that from what I see, even the market right now is still higher than it would be normally. Okay. Socialism destroys incentive. That's according to Janet. Janet, I have to agree with you. People have said that Canada is socialism. It is not. Now, they've got a portion of it that is partially socialism, but it's not a socialist country as a whole. It's kind of a mixture of both capitalism and socialism. David Frank, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. America is not the capitalism or socialism. It is top-down organized crime system. Okay, that's an interesting point. What is your reason for saying that, Dave? If you can, type that in, let me know. And because really that is a top-down organized crime is kind of like building a house from your. And this is I'm using my words, David. You can use your own. But, it's like building a house from the top down. You don't do that. You start from the bottom and you go up. Daisha, yes, ma'am. Janet, oh, Janet, you got a fan there. Anna says we can come up with another system that is more equitable. And she goes on to say she agrees with David Frank. Well, she says Frank, which I get it. Here you go. 21st Century Technology, Direct Democracy, onevoicenow.org. This is Dave's. This is David's. This is David's plan for a new government. Anna, I believe this is what you and Dave are referring to, possibly. And I'm leaving this up because I want people to go to onevoicenow.org. You read what David has in mind. Apparently, this is something that is he feels will work. And if I'm not mistaken, we're talking about when we're talking about going from the bottom up rather than the top down. You're talking about your communities, Dave, just to start this in your communities and let it spread. Is that what you're referring to with the onevoicenow.org? I want you to tell the people so you know. Daisha, well, maybe, let me see here. Why people get violent is because poverty does a lot to the mental health, and that's not the point. But that's not the point. Well, yeah, it does. It does. Poverty does affect mental health, Daisha. That's a very good comment, and I agree. But that is not the reason why people go out and kill each other. Look, Chicago every weekend. That isn't because of poverty. New York, you've got a mayor that's absolutely out of his mind. He won't do anything. They want to get rid of police. They want to get rid of any type of protection. It's okay for only one group to have protest. And that's called Black Lives Matter. Now, this is not the Black Lives Matter group that really want to help themselves. This is a group that has been taken over by extremist, dangerous people. Because Black Lives Matter, as we knew it 15 years ago, was not the Black Lives Matter. And there are many of Black people that do not want any part of that violent group that is running and trying to run that portion of Black Lives Matter. You can't have any other protests in New York, but you can with Black Lives Matter. That's the only protest that you can have. Let me get on because I've got people here. Janet says she wishes she could stay on, but I have to wash masks. Just kidding. You got company. All right, Janet, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate your comments. Anna, I agree with Frank's first comment that is what you were saying. Okay, okay. And Daisha says you're right. I'm not sure what I'm right about, but anyway, thank you, Daisha. Anna, with this kind of wealth disparity, 1% and 99%, the system is only working for the wealthy. Well, and it is. I can't argue that. I can't argue that. But there again, too, is it wrong for people to be wealthy? Do we punish them and take their money away from them? If they worked hard for their money, if they went to school, went to college, did everything they did, maybe worked their way through school, I'm telling you right now, why would you take that money away from them? Now, should they be more generous with it? I think a lot of them are, because I think a lot of them are um, what's the word I want to use? Giving to charities, that's for tax write-off. We know that, but you can't blame everybody that's rich and makes money. You can't. You can't. You can't blame them for that. Dave Frank says that the top-down system always benefits the people at the top, until the people at the bottom become broke and revolted. This is the revolution. Thus the revolution begins, and the revolution is one complete turn, and you're right back where we started. Okay, you talking about the beginning of the country, Dave, or what are you referring to? This is the wealthy. And Dave says the wealthy are wealthy because the system is rigged. We're talking uni-wealthy. Wait a minute, ultra-wealthy. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But my glasses are not the same glasses I normally wear. Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. If you wrote a book, I'm just going to give you an example, Dave, and I'm not arguing your point. I just want to say this. If you were to write a book and you became wealthy, and that because that book became famous and sold a lot of books, became a #1 seller, and you became rich and wrote another book, or they made a movie out of it, whatever the case might be, does that mean it's rigged? Does that mean that you are wrong because you became wealthy? And I'm telling you, this is not trying to twist what you're saying. I'm just asking you, is it wrong? Anna agrees with Dave about the rigged system. What is really rigged? What is really rigged with a system where people have worked their way up the ladder? I'm asking that question because that's just like walking up a stairs in your house. How is it rigged if you get to the top of the stairs and you head for your bedroom or wherever you're headed? Now, look, this is, between socialism and capitalism, people, there is totally big two different things here. Now, and it's time for we the people to give the evolution, not a revolution. Well, I agree. I am concerned, to be honest with you, that what's happening right now because of the media, Dave. You say you're talking billionaires. Well, a lot of them are hand-me-down billionaires. We know that. Some of them have made it on their own. Um, Bob Freud, excuse me. The winners and losers are picked by excuse me. The big guys write the laws. Well, that's what Congress is. And if you look at the Constitution, I got to tell you something, Bob. You're right about one thing. The cronyism must end. I think you made that on your poll. You said that on your poll. Let me tell you something. Our Constitution originally, our forefathers said that no lawyer can hold a public office, and especially a government office. Well, guess what? These lawyers, or these people in Congress, most of them are lawyers, and they write the laws to fit them. They don't write the laws to fit us. Now that becomes government control. That is socialism. I'm going back to my words, and also the words that says that socialism is guilty of fatal conceit. They want to control. The government controls everything you do. Well, that's where we're practically there right now. Everybody, it's whether or not it's just like watching people and they're wearing masks or they're not wearing masks, and now they're even telling you schools don't want to open in California. The state's going to shut itself back down. because of the virus. Now, that's a government control. That is a government control. Now, is that they're not going to open up the schools? Two districts are not going to open schools, and I think it's LA and San Diego, somewhere in there. Correct me if I'm wrong if somebody knows otherwise. Dacia said yes. Wait a minute, you guys are going fast. I got to catch up with you. All right, and let me get back down here. Okay, Dave says there are rules in the economic game, and if you can write the rules by contributing to the rule makers, the rules will benefit the people at the top. It's unfair and rigged. So how are you going to correct that, Dave? Are the people going to make the rules? And if they are, how are they going to make the rules? They don't run, they're not sitting in Washington, D.C. So I'm asking so that other people can understand also how is that going to happen? Bob Freuden says, Bob, excuse me if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. I might just start calling you Bob. We've been moving into a socialist system for a long time. Absolutely. I've said that for a long time. And it's showing more and more and more and more and more. I really wish that more people would be sharing this video, and I hope that you will share it because you're part of this and you're really helping me out on this show because this is a very serious, with an election year coming up, this is a very serious topic. It really is. Dacia, yes, Neil, you are right. Anna, wealthy people control the government. The government should be working for the people, not the wealthy. I will never disagree with that. But there you go with your the people that go to Washington and they are paying politicians to push their agenda. And it happens daily, even though they said they're going to stop it, it's happened daily. The lobbyists, thank you, Bob, that was the word I was looking for, actually write the legislation. Yes, they do. And so what's going to happen from here? We've got a situation with an election coming up. What is going to happen come 1st of January or whenever the president takes over, or whoever is elected, if we are ending up with a government that ends up being socialist? And I'm telling you right now, with the group that wants Joe Biden in, I'm not saying it's Joe Biden himself, but Joe has unfortunately jumped to the left because of the fact that he has taken and he's accepted Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders has joined with the group, the mob, the squad, whatever the heck you want to call them. Their agenda is socialist, and then from socialist we end up to becoming either Marxist or communist or both, one way or another. It goes to that. It goes to that. Dave says true socialism is the people deciding the benefits that government will provide, not the government itself. That's no. True socialism is not that, Dave. Look it up. That's not true. True socialism is, and I've got more information here. True socialism. I'm going to read it. These are not my words. Assets owned by the government and cooperatives. Okay? Distribution of income. Price controls. Government-owned firms have fewer incentives than to be efficient. The reason this is hard to read is because it's kind of shaded. High progressive taxes, higher spending on public services, health care provided by the government, free point to abuse, inefficiency of state industry, less incentives, promotion of equality, attempt to overcome market um, failure. Socialism is not the people. And Daisha asks, who's going to be the keeper of the people? Dave says, let the people who you directly, let the people vote directly. I'm sorry, Dave, on the economic rules, community by community, not in DC. Well, who in DC is going to do anything? I mean, what are we going to not need DC anymore? I have to ask that question. Are we just going to let the communities decide things? Bob says that young people became or blamed capitalism for this extreme skew in wealth we have when in fact you didn't finish that, Bob. Maybe you'll finish that. Okay, I think it's crony capitalism that we have now, not capitalism. Okay, Dave says you cannot have the capitalism when the government is in the middle, is the middleman for everything, giving its piece of the action. That I can't argue that, except now we also have a situation, if you think about it, where the president, when he made his trade deals, tried to get rid of a lot of the middlemen so that America would make more money from countries like China, because we do a lot of trade with China, pays us money they owe us that they have never paid us in the past because none of the other presidents had guts enough, and I'm including Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter who now, didn't have guts enough to even sit down with the Chinese and say, look, enough is enough. So I can't say that capitalism is when the government is the middleman. The capitalism is when you are allowed to make your money. You're allowed to go into business, and if you succeed, for instance, how many of you have seen the Pillow Guy? I'm going to use him for example. Took him 10 years or whatever to get to where he's at right now. Now the man is very wealthy. Is he to blame? Should he give all his money away? Should he go out of business? What should he do? Bob, or excuse me, Anna, Neil, the poor people have nothing to lose. The system is rigged against them. They are ready for a change. And I agree, Anna. I look, you think I'm not sympathetic to people who are poor? I'm not rich. I'm sympathetic to myself, for crying out loud. Dave, that wasn't the definition of socialism. There are synonyms of dysfunctional socialist system. Dacia says, wow. And Bob says, it's basically a criminal syndicate in charge in the deep state, China, same thing. I believe that's kind of what I was talking about, Bob, but I didn't say it in the same traffic. We, the people, are the ones who pay the tariffs. He was a crack addict. Bob, I'm not sure who you mean. Yeah, we pay tariffs. We pay, but we're also bringing industry back into the country. I can tell you right now, Biden's already said that he's going to move industry out of the country if he's elected. That's because he's following Bernie Sanders' line of ideas and the AOC and their group that don't like this country. They hate this country. Don't you get it? They don't like this country. I'm telling you right now. I'm running way over time. I probably should stop this. I really appreciate everybody joining this, because I'm going to end it on the hour. And I've been on for 59 minutes and 43 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, for all of you, Dave, Anna, Bob, Dacia, Evelyn, thank you, all of you, for joining me, and anybody else. Have a good evening. This is Neil Douglas. This is American Truth Finders. God bless. Good night.